Alrighty. Hello, everybody. I'm Jonathan Albin, and I'm the Games Master. This is the NycosRPG experience, and I am restarting, if you will. I had a full setup, and my system crashed, and I've lost that setup completely. So we are building as we go. That having been said, I have established that I'm going to be using this framework to actively roleplay session over session, day after day, starting today, with literally anybody who hops in and chats with me or joins me on my Discord. Now, there are several different ways you can get involved with that, and before we get started, I do want to mention that we do have a sponsor. That is the Board Game Paradise store in Redlands, California. Redlands is a small, quiet college town on the edges of what is known in the Southern California area as the Inland Empire. And the Board Games Paradise store on State Street in downtown Redlands is a absolutely full-service games support center, embracing all forms of tabletop games, from card games, board games, miniatures games, role-play games. Near and dear to my heart, they do have all wood cribbage boards, and if you haven't played cribbage, that is the advocacy game of the universe. I've been playing it since I was 4 years old. And so I highly recommend that when you get a chance to give that game a try, and perhaps we can even play some cribbage online. You can have up to it's normally played as a person versus person game like Magic the Gathering would be, but it actually can be, it can accommodate up to, I believe, 6 players, and you use most of the deck when you do that. But the setup, if you're not familiar with NycosRPG, is that I, as a game master, have 48 years of experience in the environment. I learned how to play role-play games from one of the guys that designed Dungeons and Dragons. My buddy's grandpa Dave was Dave Arneson, and so I've been an active player for virtually ever. So what I endeavor to do here through NycosRPG is it embraces those who are familiar with role-play games such as Dungeons and Dragons or Call of Cthulhu or whatever. It embraces all of those game. Why camera? Why? It's so bizarre because every once in a while fuzzes out. But the environment of roleplay is my playground. And we'll actually have a conversation about playgrounds at some point as well. But the way this works is that anybody who, indigestion, I don't know where that came from. Anybody who wishes to participate can do so directly from the chat. They simply advocate for a character name. We build a character together instantaneously. Not fully fleshed out, obviously, just a name on the page, so to speak. But as we go by over time, we actually build in the characters into the story and progress the story by a conversation between myself and the chat. Now, once we are up and operational, I don't anticipate I can keep everybody that is on the chat operating, and so we will be using a bits hierarchy. We can purchase the higher levels of chat and therefore be able to have your persona, your character, maintained in the story. Or, more particularly, if you back my Patreon package, which is at patreon.com/Nycos, you can actually get access to me in the chat, and you can actually be on screen with me as a voice. So, of course, there's a bit of a vetting process involved with that, but we gotta make sure that no psycho killers really are able to hop on. But the idea, therefore, is that you can join the game verbally and become basically an online guest, and even eventually perhaps add a video as time goes by, because we eventually will be moving back to operating a live stream roleplay game in the future. I'm not yet prepared to do that because we're not yet fully functional. But on the other hand, I do want to mention something that is really exciting, or actually threefold things. Number one, NycosRPG, the Dark Shards manual, which is the first of the system books, is available now. If you DM me directly or post in the chat that you're interested, I will coordinate with you to arrange for you to be able to get to that. It's a 143 page, I think 145 page book that has all of the rules necessary to both administer and play in a Nycos RPG game. And when I say that it is the next evolution in role-play games, it literally is a quantum change. And we're going to be doing a series of episodes on our sister channel, It's Okay to Play, that will be basically a breakdown of how the game is played and a kind of a how-to guide on how to use the product to build your own environment, as well as provide you with additional bonus resources if you're a Patreon member. So keep all of that in mind. We are going to be staying ostensibly on the air at least until 11 o'clock tonight. We're slated to be here until 2 a.m., but if I'm sitting here by myself at the end of the first half an hour, first hour, I will just pull the plug on the show for the night, and we will try this again next time. And I say hour, I meant half hour, since we started late today. Ostensibly, we will be running the games every night, and once I find that other channel, then it'll be much more clear. You'll be able to see on the screen the instructions as well as the character names and such. And so this is kind of a fledgling restart of the project, since I fell out there for a few weeks while I was coordinating some of the other pieces of this project. So let me do this. I want to pull up my schedule so I can share with you the weekly schedule between the two channels. So this is a 7-day-a-week project. I will be with you every day, and you get to see a little bit of what's going on over here behind the scenes on my Patreon channel, because I'll be doing behind the scenes shows for them. But my weekly schedule will be on Mondays, and these are all set ostensibly at 10 until 2. So technically 4-hour blocks, but we're generally going to be running them in 2-hour blocks. So for Mondays, for example, we're going to start at noon with a show called Making Believe. And this is my ongoing series advocating for the concept of living a momentous life and experiencing life as a gamer and a games player and a games advocate in such a way that the challenges of life can be handled just like you would handle resolution of difficulties in games. On Tuesdays at noon, we're going to be doing the Nycos Newsday reports. I just did one today, basically updating about the different campaigns that are going on. In the future, each of those will be a little bit more visceral, because I'm going to be adding images and things like that to those to make it more dynamic. Wednesdays at noon will be It's Okay to Play, and this is intended to be my interview show, but I'll probably do some pontification as well as some new segments that I want to bring to the air in the Wednesday timeframe. But it's talking about the playfulness of life and how we need to be okay with engaging in play, whether you go all in like I have to live a life that is games constantly, or if you want to utilize games to discover the solutions to difficulties you have in the rest of your life. That show will be that way. Thursdays at noon will be Creative Differences, and this is also going to be an interview show, but this is where I'm going to invite you, the consumer, who actually is a creative person yourself, to discuss your processes and perhaps provide some illumination on different ways that your art and my art are the same, or places where we find our differences and our uniqueness even within the same environment. So I'll be interviewing with game masters, store owners, painters, photographers, etc., etc. Fridays, I'm going to be dedicating to a ongoing games mastery masterclass. So if you are a storyteller or a game master in any kind of form, and you want to gain additional information and find ways to make your game spectacular, I totally advocate for the Friday. We're going to start those also at noon, but we may run all the way to 4 o'clock, depending on where we get going on those, because I am very passionate about role play and the idea of mastering games. But that time frame will also include some situations where I talk about how we can role play even in board games and such. So that Saturday is a little bit more of a serious show. It's called Above the Board. And when I say serious, I mean non-gaming. Above the Board is a look at entrepreneurs and business owners and advocates for personal advancement that I have met, and I find that their insight can actually help to develop a richer role-play experience by having a better perspective on people who are not necessarily gamers. So that's on Saturdays. Then on Sunday, just for the fun of it, I'm going to be reprising the Commander Clueless series. Right now, the operation that we're doing is Commander Clueless drives a tank. We're also going to be doing Commander Clueless digs a mine, and so on and so on. So we'll be doing a lot of different game-related events that are on in the electronic realm. And so you'll be able to come in and experience those games with me, and perhaps poke some fun at an old fart trying to play video games. So I'm going to also take the time during the show to mention the fact, or advocate for the fact, that I am looking for participants to join in the entire process. So if you are an artist or a creator in your own right and want to become part of something larger than yourself, I'm going to be continuing to advocate for that through all the various things. Now I'm coming up on the end of this episode because of the time commitment that I set for myself, and at this point I'm still by myself in the chat. I'm going to be, as I said, calling it at 11. But just realize that each of these games, from the NycosRPG experiences every night, I'm going to be here, and I'm going to eventually start ranting on other subjects, and there will be more shows developing over time as I see what works, what doesn't work, or whatever. So let me show you the logos for the different shows so you'll be aware of them. So this is obviously the NycosRPG experience. Next is It's Okay to Play. Beyond that is Nycos Newsday. And you see right now it's over the logo because I'm so professional. I'm really, this is amazing. Next is Making Believe. And Creative Differences. So those are the ones that I have so far. I do have one more that I'm redoing as a snippet video, not so much the long form, but it's going to be beside myself. And that's because I have 2 cameras. And so I will be doing a talk over the shoulder kind of show where I rant on one side and then give myself the opposing position as well. And so therefore I literally, and I've got to still have to fix, I always have to fix the mirrors on these things. Yeah, did that right, and I'm wrong. That's great. Alrighty, we'll have to figure that out later, but that's what that is about. So, oop, wrong one. Oop. Alrighty, so yeah, that's good, John. So returning to my position, and yep, I got the mirror backwards. I did the wrong one. That figures. There we go. Alrighty, so that's where we are for tonight. It's coming up at, oh hey, welcome viewer. I've been rambling for a while here, and I ostensibly was going to be ending the show at 11 if I didn't have anybody online with me, but I've got somebody to talk to. So if you want to, feel free to jump in the chat, say hi, and we will carry on this conversation. I'll go back to my original page here. There we go. So this channel and this event each night is going to be set up to be a role-play game where you, as the viewers, actually participate by giving input into the game by chat. If you become a Patreon sponsor, you can actually gain access to the voice channel and actually come on and be a guest on the show. There are some vetting steps, of course, to that. But yeah, that really is bothering me. Put me in the right spot. Now it's putting me. I've got to just move my camera. That's it. I'll mess with that later. Well, I am back to me right now, so I will go ahead and be signing out because it is coming up on 11. So thank you again. Make sure that you, when you get a chance to be in the Southern California area and you want to show up, definitely come over to the Board Games Paradise show. It is a store. It is a full-service role-play board game, tabletop game, miniatures game, cribbage, canasta. You name the game, they have the materials to play it right there. And they are a good sponsor of mine, and also it is where I run my actual live game once a week. And if you want to participate, and I would just dearly love it if you would take down the information and come and play with us on Mondays and just bury the store in fans. That'd be really awesome. Our games are run at 6 p.m. Pacific time at the store in Redlands on State Street in the city of Redlands, California. For more information, you can also check out my Patreon, which has a lot of information about what's going on, as well as reach out to me on all the platforms. I'm NycosRPG, just about every place. And so I get to the point where I've run out of material that I intended to say, and so now I'm kind of in that voodoo spot of what are we going to talk about? And since we don't have a game ostensibly started yet, I'm kind of at a loss for words. Of course, my friend. Oh, I do have to tell you a funny story. Last night we were playing at the store in Redlands, and one of my players is of advancing years, I'll say. She plays a character known as Marianne Brandywine of the Bailiwick Brandywines, and a gnome merchant and bard. At any rate, the player, though, is actually a 70-plus, trying to be generous, I'd be kind here. Jean is a veteran player with almost 40 years of game experience, so she is my OG, if you will. I personally have been game mastering since 1973, so I've got a couple of years. I think I've got like 6 years on her in terms of experience. But she actually is a diabetic and injured herself. Anyway, during the game, there was a situation that occurred, and she actually had to be taken away in an ambulance. And of course, the store owner quickly took a photograph and is going to be broadcasting that my games are lethal, which is really, really funny because, of course, she had a bit of an injury and that was it. But it's going to be going out probably with a photo of the ambulance and all of that. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, definitely added some lethality aspects to my game. You know, when the players themselves are being taken out in an ambulance, you know, you're being rough on the players. Alrighty, so I am out of here for the day. Thank you so much for your participation. We will see you next time. And if you like what you see, follow the show here on Twitch. Like this episode, and if you didn't, thank you for your time watching, and we will see you again next time.